You've tuned into Bellingham Podcast Media Tech for the week of June 5th, 2016, episode numero 9. I'm AJ Barsay.
And I'm Chris Powell. On this episode of BPM Tech, we have listener voicemail. We're going to talk about some backup storage plans. AJ will talk about Nintendo and Simple, not necessarily in that order. And we'll be discussing our favorite spots on I-5, exit 256 Meridian, all that, and a bellyful more next on BPM Tech.
Belly.
Good job.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to segue that.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
Bellyful.
Bellyful. Got to come up with a lot each episode. It's a different kind. I'm reading my thesaurus.
Well, let's take that digest teeth. And where the heck are we, Chris?
Oh, we're not. Unlike last episode, which was a fine location for enjoying a good cup of coffee at the Woods Roastery, we are at where everyone should be at in Bellingham on a weather day like this. So beautiful. The Bellwether.
Oh, yes.
Overlooking Bellinghamn Bay. This is what you would call, I guess, Tom Glenn Common. Right with the best view in town right here.
Yeah, this is a pretty good studio, I'm going to say. You know, got plenty of natural light. You can feel, I mean, perhaps even the listeners can hear a little bit of that natural air conditioning.
Yes.
You know, hitting the tops of our mics. And it looks like the tide is out a little bit.
But the boats are out as well as bicyclists, walkers, dog walkers, lollygaggers, and other loungers.
And podcasters.
You know, as well.
Loud mouths, you know. I guess we can be as loud as we want out here as opposed to in a restaurant. It's kind of nice.
We'll still operate under decorum rules, of course.
Decorum.
But, you know, we don't have to really use our outdoor voice in this case, which is wonderful because I'm actually able to hear the voices in my head right now, which is great. So.
We're not going to use our outdoor voice when we're on the outdoors. I find the irony in that.
Yes.
Oh, hilarious.
Well, you know, it's nice to have a conversation because we're all about conversation on BPM Tech.
Well, traditionally speaking, I would ask you, sir, what are you drinking?
I am not drinking right now just because we arranged this kind of on a
ad hoc
moment. And when you're out enjoying the Bellwether, I don't have a tasty beverage. That is going to be a suspension of our typical ritual for this time. AJ, what are you drinking?
Good old sun.
Yes, okay. Drinking in the sunshine.
As it is high noon on a Sunday,
yes.
So I'm drinking life.
Okay. This is the
freedom.
The 2016
that is the
vintage
taste of freedom.
Yes, exactly.
Belling freedom.
Something like that. All right. Hey, guess what, AJ? We got some listener voicemail.
Hot diggity dog!
Indeed. Let's get right to it because we do enjoy voicemail from our listeners, whether it be feedback or kudos or ways to improve. But this one has to do with how we can give advice and how to back up family files and technology.
Hi, this is Max Bronsma, longtime listener, first-time caller. I am curious about recommendations for backing up a family of computers and devices, whether going with a paid-for service, signing everyone up to Dropbox Pro, or using and building something like NAS for free as a possible solution, looking for a cost-effective solution for backing up, 3 PCs, and a tablet and 2 phones.
Anyway, so that's a really good question. Thank you, Max, for leaving us a little bit of a voicemail. What do you think, AJ?
Well, I think there's lots of different ways. And backing up data, yeah, that's a tricky one because everybody has different needs.
Yes.
Immediately off the top of my head, there's always, if you want to go the turnkey paid route, there's services like Carbonite. And, Carbonite has an interesting story because I was once told the founder of Carbonite, the reason why he started that company was his daughter went to college. And, first term into the quarter, of course, she's freaking out because, the internet ate her homework. And she's like, well, Dad, can you save? And he's like, well, if you had a backup, ding, ding, I wonder if only I had a company. And so Carbonite was born out of this whole concept that, if his panicked daughter, if she had a backup, she could have saved her academic life. Well, Carbonite was founded off of that whole principle. And that's why it's very turnkey, very easy, very affordable. Matter of fact, they have business solutions where you can back up external hard drives. So they've got a wide swath, but you'd have to pay for it,
But here's the thing, though. Carbonite and many other backup programs, how much would you what would you put? What price would you put on your files?
What price would you put on losing your wedding photos that you don't have backups of, Chris?
I don't have a doghouse built just yet. That's pretty darn important.
But I mean, that's the crux of the whole thing is that, you know, people in today's day and age, like you should be willing to spend some cashola to save things that we do not have physical copies of anymore.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't matter what solution you pick. You know, let your conscience and your doghouse be your guide. You know.
Exactly. Are you willing to? Is this the opportunity cost? If you don't have this backed up, are you willing to be okay with the fact that you may not be able to recover this or get it back?
So I mean, there's Carbonite. Max was asking, is there any roll your owns? I mean, going with what he said is an NAS, a NAS,
yes.
which is also known as a network attached storage. Big businesses have been using these for many generations, and now for consumers, we have a lot of options. There's QNAP or Synology. Those are kind of the big two heavy hitters in this space. I've got experience with QNAP. I think you have experience with Synology, don't you?
I actually have been working with a Drobo.
Drobo, that's what it is.
But Synology, you do all this research, and all of them have wonderful features, and it's on a case-by-case basis. If we were to make a recommendation for the Back to the Future Mr. Fusion thing for home use, you really can't go wrong with a QNAP or Synology. I'm not, Drobo has wide adoption everywhere around the world. However, a lot of anecdotes, a lot of reviews from regular people, not just people paid to give a review on a product, have said that once a Drobo goes into failure or, like fault mode, your odds of getting your data back are really difficult. And that is not something I want to receive a listener voicemail about.
Yeah.
QNAP, you've had success with?
Yeah, two success stories. My wife's company that she works for, they recently deployed a QNAP. We have a QNAP as well that we use for basically skunk works for students, for my student staff. And what's cool about QNAP is it's running a distro of Linux. So there is quote unquote an app store. So if you just want a network attached storage that is just a big bank of drives to back up stuff that you send to it or map to, okay, cool. That's what it does right out of the box. If you want it to be a home security system, there's an app for that. You put in an app through the QNAP store, which is basically just a Linux app that's specifically designed for that hardware. And then you point your cameras to it, and voila, you have you better run for the hills Xfinity Home because you just did it yourself. If you want to have added functionality like a media server using systems like DLNA, it's a protocol that a lot of TVs and set-top boxes use for slinging your media.
And for Android users as well that may not have an Apple TV or be in the Apple ecosystem, DLNA is your friend.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, that's a really nice way of having, sharing in a household if you're trying to back up, say, movies and music and stuff, and if you don't go the route of paying for subscription services like Spotify and stuff. That's a cool way. My colleague David, he does something very similar in his house. But I mean, the thing about the difference between turnkey paid a subscription for your backup versus having a on-site setup is, I mean, you spend a lot of money up front when you roll your own.
Yes.
So you have to ask yourself, if you're backing things up, what's the return on investment? I mean, you can easily spend on a NAS $500 with drives, and you're off to the races. As opposed to like Carbonite. I think Carbonite starts at like $19 or $15 a month, something like that.
There seems to be a sweet spot from $10 to $20 a month, depending on where things go. My family uses Backblaze, and that's $10 a month.
Yeah.
And what that does is it copies all the files on. We have a Mac Mini in our home, and every file, not just the photos and documents, but the system files as well. Right. So that if something was to happen and kersplat, my desktop workstation goes kaput. I purchase a Mac Mini and I install on a fresh, fresh device Backblaze, and through the power of my high-speed internet home connection, all my stuff comes back, and we're off and running.
Now, the catch-22 to rolling your own, and Max, if you're listening, I mean, this is definitely something you have to consider, is if you're backing up all of, like I said, what is the price you pay on your memories, our digital memories, right? So let's say, God forbid, you have an electrical fire, and your house burns down. And even though you did everything right, you backed everything up, it's in the house that is on fire right now.
Correct.
And that's where the cloud really comes in, is that regardless of, I mean, there's a lot of technologists out there that kind of preach the 3-2-1 method, 3 different backups.
You're stealing my thunder here, Hotshot.
Okay, well, roll with it.
Roll with it.
Preach to me,
All
tech.
right. Well, here's the thing. In doing a lot of research, coming from a lot of conversations with my clients, that they are having very difficult times getting their data off of a dead hard drive or a failing hard drive. It's like when you see a loved one that they're on hospice or ICU and the outlook isn't so good. The doctor comes back with a clipboard saying, "I'm sorry, the statistics aren't looking very good for a full recovery." I want to be able to prevent that conversation. And so in research, there is a fairly common, widespread mindset in backing up data, 3-2-1. 3 copies of your data. Now, stick with me on this. Why would I have 3 copies of my data? I'm only using 1 at a time. 3 copies of your data on 2 different types of media. Now, we're talking with Carbonite and Backblaze, and there's another one called SuperDuper and CrashPlan, all these types of cloud-based storage solutions. Cloud is a media. Your stuff is stored on another location outside of your house. Physical media, such as an external hard drive, that can be different than your actual desktop hard drive. So 3 copies of your data, 2 different types of media, one of them off-site. This answers the question that you had, AJ, about your electrical fire, your house burns down, what happens to your data? So this is what I refer to as a safety deposit box contingency. So 3-2-1, it solves a lot of most people's issues with their data, and so this is one method of looking at it.
Yeah,
as you alluded to.
Exactly. So, kind of get down to brass tacks, because we could spitball a lot of different options. Let's kind of run through what you and I do. So, what do you do in your household?
So, first and foremost, my get out of the doghouse
free card
with important wedding, family memories in photo format. I have a big subscription to Dropbox. It's not just the free version. My wife and I have spent $100 to get the 1 terabyte.
That's $100 a year?
$100 a year instead of $10 a month. We save $20. But anyway, we get 1 terabyte of space. I throw every single photo, everything up on the Dropbox. And with it, I get 30 days recoverable files just in case something gets trashed inadvertently. I can resurrect it. So 1 copy on Dropbox. I also have a full copy of all of our photos on Google Drive. I upped. For $5 a month, I got 100 gigabytes. Well, that's sufficient storage space for our photos. Now, that's the most important thing. Music, Spotify, Apple Music, many subscription services, Amazon Prime Music, that can totally be brought back. Video files, I have our daughter's iPhone videos stored in with the Dropbox space, the videos she takes with her phone, et cetera, et cetera. For the files, we throw everything on Dropbox. That's also a copy on our desktop and on the cloud. I also happen to have another computer in another location that will remain classified, where I have a Dropbox iteration. All the files on Dropbox from the cloud are stored on this device that's not in my house. To protect our Mac Mini desktop, I use Backblaze, and we pay $10 a month for that, just because in case something happens and I can get a replacement device of the desktop, boom, it comes back on. This also works for iMacs. In the Apple camp, this is your best bet. For those of you that have PCs, you may want to take a look at crashplan.com. I did that for a year by paying, I think it was $150 a month. It's possible that all of your system files and all of your files can be stored on CrashPlan servers. Therefore, should you have a failed hard drive, you get a new device or a new hard drive to put into your PC desktop computer, load your Windows operating system, install CrashPlan, and then foom, everything comes back down. That's what we're using right now.
Dig it.
How about you, AJ? What do you got?
Well, I had to recently change mine up, as I mentioned on a couple of podcasts back, because one of my backup solutions, which was a service called Stream Nation, shuttered. And that was largely because, with all of my freelancing and stuff, I used them, and I also used another company owned by Barracuda Systems, known as Copy, to do my distribution of client work and such. And both those guys, well, one got folded into Barracuda and they cacked it, as well as their professional line. Barracuda decided to cack both the commercial and their professional lines. And then Stream Nation just shuttered because they're morphing into a new business model, which is fine, which kind of leads me to what I want to throw out there is regardless of who you use, if you don't have stock, as it were, in these companies, bear in mind your backups in the cloud are only as reliable as the company and as long as they're going to be in business. So, I mean, going with Dropbox or Google, Google I kind of raise an eyebrow with because Google likes to shuffle things. That's my opinion. But, going with something like Dropbox, they're a darling of Silicon Valley. They're a darling of the world. That's a good setup. I've recently switched back over to Amazon. So a lot of my personal photo backups are sent up to Amazon Cloud Services. It's Amazon Cloud Photo, I think is what they call it now. They've been monkeying around with their titling. And that's a free service. Basically, you have infinite uploads of your photos on your mobile, on your computer, for free. And I mean unlimited. I've thrown up several hundred gigs, and it's still taking it. The thing that they cack you on, and that's free for Prime members. I think it's like $10 a month, and at that point, you might as well just buy Prime.
For those of you listening at home, you're starting to see a little bit of a pattern here. To get this type of file security and backup, you're looking at around $10 a month, no matter just about what company you decide to roll with.
Yep.
Sorry for interrupting.
No worries. And so, so I sync those up, and that's just for my personal stuff, not my professional. The thing about Amazon Cloud that I'll throw out is they are a work in progress. When I first started looking at them, I thought their syncing app was horrible, and now they've gotten a lot better. Their web interface is actually functional.
They've done some steps to improve it. I agree with you on that.
So I've kind of gone back to them. And originally I looked at them as just kind of a way to sync up my wife's and my phone photos because I don't really trust iCloud. That's just me. And I also don't like the fact that, the free account's only 5 gigs. I mean, let's face it, she has a 64 gig iPhone. I've got a 32 gig iPhone. Yeah, we're not going to sync anything up to iCloud. So it's just not functional for me. So I've gone with Amazon for my personal cloud. With that free service, videos, you have up to 5 gigs of free storage with the Prime membership stuff. And then you can pay over the top. So if you do want to store your videos up there, you totally can. But outside of that, my professional work, I basically run a very intricate sneaker net, if you remember the 90s term.
No, I don't. What's a sneaker net, AJ?
Sneaker net is when you used to network with other people long before there was a network cable, and you would put things on, these things called floppy disks, and you would sneak it around the office.
So you have a black book.
Correct. I do have a black book.
Yes.
So I have, much like you said, I have 3 different drives that I sync up. One that is a full backup of my production machine, a second of my assets. That's my client work as a big library. And the third is a working drive that clones just the assets on that production machine. And one of those drives is in a nondescript location somewhere in the United States that I actually physically, either mail or drop off. And that's how I manage my cloud service, as it were, it's the Pony Express cloud.
The USPS cloud, if you will.
The USPS cloud.
Yes.
And yes, I'm doing it on physical media. The other reason why I do that is because I'm a professional photographer, I turn and burn a lot of data.
Yes, you do.
And for me to put that through the Xfinity pipeline, it would take eons for me to sync that stuff. And that's the downside of any cloud service. Even Carbonite can take days to back up your initial backup. And so for me, because I'm hitting, I kid you not, at least 2 terabytes at a time, it's just not feasible for me. So I sync it up using USB, and then I ship it off. And it gets in what I call cold storage. All
right. Cold storage is a great term for that because that external drive is something I use like deep freeze or some other things like that. I'm going to throw a hypothetical at you, AJ.
Go for it.
So you have a friend / client / person worthy of your time. And they're saying, AJ, I don't understand a thing you're saying about this. I want you to just tell me to do something.
Cool.
And I don't want to have to mess with it. I don't want to have to maintain it.
Yeah.
I have about 2 gigabytes of files from my professional work, and I have about maybe 6 gigabytes of photos from my family's camera phone, and we have Android phones. Tell me what to do. Go.
Okay, so easy enough. If you got something small like that, go down to your local electronics store of your choosing, or go to the Amazon. Order yourself up a 64 gig something or another, whether it's an SD card or a USB, something that is non-spinning disk, okay, solid state. The reason before that is because if it takes a drop, you're not out of luck. If you have a spinning hard drive, if it takes a drop, you're out of luck. And then you have to pay out the nose for data recovery. So if you get something solid state, you can throw up your backup onto that thing, as well as have a copy on your local machine. And also we've established there's multiple cloud services. So you can have something up in the cloud. You can have something on a physical drive that is not your hard drive on your computer. And you take that drive and you go to a trusted friend, family member, safety deposit box, under your rock where you put that hide key, whatever. Just stick it away from where everything else is. If you get burglarized, if your house gets blown up, or whatever, at least your data is on something that is shock-proof, drop-proof. Pretty much, USB drives these days are pretty much life-proof, not to steal that brand.
But as you're, if I could jump in, as you're considering that little USB jump drive, keep in mind, don't put it in your pocket and then put it through the washing machine. I know this from experience. They do not recover from a wash on the gentle cycle. Either.
No, rinse, wash, and repeat is not advised for anything electronic. I didn't think I had to disclose that, but yes, electricity and water don't mix, Chris.
Knuckleheads like me will put a USB drive in that fifth pocket in their jeans,
Got it.
which is a perfect place to store that and forget it because I'm a knucklehead. So anyway, word to the wise.
Yeah.
I know that please don't feel like your intelligence is insulted, but keep that USB drive in a safe place. Good recommendation.
And honestly, I like doing it that way. Like I said, I'm a little bit different because I'm pushing a lot of data at a time. And I'm syncing up, once a quarter, as it were, every 3 months. And it can be something as simple as you just keep your memories and you give it to your mom and dad.
Yeah.
And just tell them to stick it up on the top of the china hutch and call it good. That's a perfectly viable old school way of doing cloud computing.
So once again, Max, thanks very much for sending us a voicemail. We appreciate your question. And for those of you that are up for tinkering or up for doing hands-on maintenance, you got network attached storage devices available. You have cloud-based storage devices. And for those of you that want to not deal with it and just have it done, get yourself a USB drive or an external drive for offsite locations and employ a cloud service such as Dropbox or another platform of your choosing. So, thanks for giving us a voicemail. What's next?
Well, let's talk about Simple and Requiescat in Pace de Google Wallet.
Yes, talk to me about the banking of the internet for you.
So, I have to say, Google Wallet was my darling product of Google. Going back to my little snide remark of Google likes to shuffle things.
We talked about that at Tony's Coffee in a previous episode. I remember you talking about Google Wallet and praising its features.
And now it's dead, much like a lot of other Google stuff. So Google Wallet was really interesting because you could pay other people by just using Gmail, and you could send money to people. And the other cool thing is you could also have a physical plastic card that had Google Wallet on it. It always raised some eyebrows when you try to pay with it because everybody goes, "Do you work for Google?" No,
you say yes, and then you get free swag or you get their admiration. Anyway, go ahead.
So I loved it because when my wife and I travel, what we would do is preload it. Basically, it was a debit card. And we had it attached to an account so we could transfer money on a drop of a hat. It would sync up within about 60 seconds. And then we would go and pay for our stuff in places that we normally don't go or we're not going to be coming back to. I don't know about you, Chris, but I've had to dispute charges on my credit card, and it is a hassle. Mm-hmm. So I used Google Wallet as a way to mitigate that because every time you make a transaction, your phone gets a text or a app notification that the price that they rung it up. And I kid you not, we've been in a place where they rung it up with the wrong, whether it was accidental or on purpose, the wrong amount. I bought $4 worth of coffee and they charged me $40.
It's nice to have that immediate notification.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Excuse me, you put the zero in the wrong spot or you're thinking you're getting a way better tip than I'm going to give you. And it happened when we were on the road. And so that was really kind of an aha moment for me. Like, yes, perfect. A card that is the burner card, as it were, right? You had some limitations with it, but, for doing a couple $100 in transactions a month, it was perfect. Mm-hmm. Well, they cacked that as of last month.
Google ended Google Wallet. Yeah.
Well,
much to our chagrin.
Well, they killed the wallet card. The service is still live. You can still transfer money to people
with Google or Android Pay, I believe.
I think it's still through the same. Right now, it's in the same interface.
Right.
I think you're right. I think they're merging it within the same ecosystem. But what's sad is they got rid of the physical card, and that I don't know what to say. Like that really kind of took a blow on my wife and I on the way we do our finances because it was so efficient. I just came back from a trip from the South. And, I hand my credit card over. I don't know if they're going to ring it right. Yeah, that receipt says it, but things happen. I've had my card swiped. I've had things happen while traveling. And so anyway, one of the things I wanted to investigate is where to go from there. So Simple, and I believe you also have a Simple card.
Bank Simple, if you Google it up, because if you Google the word Simple, you'll get 12 billion
You get a picture of you and me?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. No, Bank Simple, I think is the .com site, but yes, I've had them for a couple years, more of a going down the rabbit hole, checking it out, seeing its limitations and its features.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they are a legitimate bank. They're FDIC. They're backed by Bank Corp or something. I can't remember what their actual parent company is.
Based in Portland, right?
West
Perhaps,
Coast somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't remember where. Mm-hmm. But what's cool about it is, much like the Google Wallet, you can attach account. You can also snap pictures of checks, and they get deposited. The thing, and so far I like it. I like the fact that the app on your phone has, if you have a fingerprint scanner, you can unlock it using a fingerprint. So two-factor-ish authentication.
That satisfies my security demands that I place on the people that I care about with their mobile devices.
Exactly, especially because a lot of banking apps and credit union apps don't do that.
Yes.
Not to point fingers.
No finger pointing here in Bellingham podcast media. No, we don't do that. Anyway.
But I like the fact that they do that. And I put their customer service to the test. I had a question, and in the app you can ask basically a digital banker, and it's not a bot, it's a real person. I got a response within, 180 seconds.
Not bad.
I mean, that was pretty good. And they were able to remedy what my question was.
And this was online, right?
This is all in the app.
So you did not have to listen to that stupid music
while
you're on the phone.
No.
I don't listen to them talking to you about ads.
Well, and also,
you're
already in the app. That means you're already in your account. They already know that it's you that they're talking to. And I suppose, if there was something really nitty-gritty, they would probably give me a call and probably vet the information of when they call. It was seamless. It's clean. Yes. And we don't have to wait in line to go talk to a teller. Or I don't have to go to an ATM and have it, get my card swiped. That's the thing, is I like the fact that these appliances that we call cell phones, smartphones, this should be the ATM of the future. I shouldn't have to go to a box that somebody can compromise and just to check my balance or to get money. This can do it with a physical thing like a card. That's
for those that aren't up to speed with the whole digital age.
Yeah. And so that's why I like Google Wallet. Simple is trying to replace that for me. However, the big thing about Simple that is the crux, it takes if you want to transfer money, it takes 4 days to hit your account. That's
a situation.
Yep. And I tried to cheat that system, and I tried to write myself a check and deposit it. Guess what? They're like, we can't. They sent me a message. It's like, you can't. If you're going to do that, you have to transfer it within the account. You can't just write a check to yourself. And I'm like, bummer.
That's a shame, but I'm imagining that Bank Simple, as they would evolve, I don't know, they've been around for 3-4 years.
They're fairly recent.
Yeah. Things occur. There was a time when a bank that I've done business with never had mobile deposit up until a certain point when other banks did. So this is just how banks are able to implement new features and new digital add-ons that will make life a lot more convenient for us. So it seems like Simple is your new alternative to the days of Google Wallet.
Yeah, and like I said, as long as you're doing some budgeting, and that's kind of their catch-22 is that they're trying. I'm getting their business model is trying to get people to save money as opposed to just have convenience of let me just buy something. You have to check your account. Yep. So I get it, and it could be a very useful tool, much like we talked about with Google Wallet for young teens that are trying to get into understanding banking and their money and stuff. So I can appreciate that. Let's talk about gaming.
Nintendo style.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up in your hit list?
So I like having either a console or right now I love the 3DS. And so they had two really good hits, and then this current generation of that would be the current generation of consoles. So like the Xbox One and the PS4, they launched the Wii, WIIU, capital U, and it's been a flop. It's been a horrible flop. They redesigned the controller so that it's like you have this tablet that you game with joystick and buttons on the side, and they're trying to do a DS style, dual screen style gaming, and it hasn't been working well. And so there's a rumor that they're doing their next generation of console called the Nintendo NX, and for the last couple of years we've heard rumors of it, and we've all chucked it up to it's vaporware. Until we actually saw some screenshots and some video coming out of the new engine that they're using on the NX. We still don't know what the hardware is going to be. We don't know what the CEO of Nintendo is going to... He's alluded to a lot of things. To quote him, it's going to be a new way to video game with Nintendo. So we don't know if it's going to be VR. We don't know if it's going to be a new way of motion or maybe Minority Report stuff. We don't know. But it's cool to see that Nintendo is still, even though they're the underdog, they are still trying to, continue that legacy of, if you're a gamer, whether you're casual or hardcore, we're still here for you. We're still making something for everybody. Because that's kind of been Nintendo's mantra since the GameCube, really, is that they are the vox populi of gamers. Everybody has an affinity from young to old to play their intellectual properties. Mario, Yoshi, whatnot.
All right, so I'm putting you on the spot here.
Go for it.
You ready?
Yep.
You get a 1-hour meeting with the CEO of Nintendo.
Yes.
And you have his ear.
Yes.
And you say, big fan, et cetera, and he hasn't alluded to a lot of where Nintendo's going. What do you tell him? What do you tell him about what you want for the future of Nintendo gaming?
Simple. Don't turn into Sega. Seriously, I was a big Sega kid growing up. I was on the other side of the fence. And to see Sega die in 1999 when they launched the Dreamcast, 9999 was when the Dreamcast launched. And I loved it. I thought that was a great console. It had a network card in it. It was very innovative. But it flopped. It died. And with it, Sonic got kicked to the curb. Actually, Nintendo has a lot of the Sonic products. But that's what I'm always worried about, is I don't want to see Nintendo relegated to their intellectual property, the Mario, the Yoshi and stuff, and see it on other people's consoles. As much as I am anti-exclusivity, it's one of those things where those are their creations, and I'd like to see it on their matched hardware, very much in the same vein of, say, like Apple. They have a better experience with their stuff. Mm-hmm. And with Nintendo, it's the same way. So I would tell him straight up, I would bow. I would say I'm a big fan. Japanese culture aside, do not do Sega, okay? Do not Sega this stuff.
Yes.
And so that's why I'm glad they're attempting to keep up with the consoles, because if I would have heard that they were not doing another console, I would be worried.
Good to know.
Yeah.
All right. It's always good to get your thoughts, outside of what the news reports.
Yeah.
So this is how we get to know AJ Barcet a little bit better.
Yeah. And so, Mr. Powell, if we're not just sitting here soaking up the sun, if we were in a vehicle and we were driving north on the I-5, I-05.
Yes.
Where would we be going this week?
This week, for this podcast, we are going to exit 256 northbound and southbound Meridian Street. Boy, howdy, we all love that exit here in Bellingham.
So what is your favorite place? It's got to be the Bellisfair Mall, right?
Not exactly, no. All right, for those of you who have gotten to know AJ and myself over these podcasts, I am, and I fully embrace my introvert nature. Going to Bellis Fair is something that I do for my daughter and my wife because I love them. And otherwise, I actually, little known fact about me, AJ, I hold the Whatcom County record for the quickest shopping trip in Bellis Fair in history.
45 seconds?
It was 32 seconds. I parked, walked in, got what I needed, paid for it, and walked out. 32 seconds. It was in cash, too. So anyway, what's my favorite place on Meridian? I do not care for crowds. I do not care for loud noises, which is why I'm thoroughly enjoying this podcast right here. If you go, let's say, north on Meridian Street, you're going to encounter, or take some signs that will take you to Whatcom Community College. And when you get to Whatcom Community College, it's either Westerly Road, stoplight, or just figure out how you can get to Cordata Parkway.
Right.
And there's a couple roundabouts in Cordata Parkway, and on one of them, you will find a coffee shop called, it used to be called Avellino Espresso. They had rebranded themselves, and I believe they're called Gluten-Free Angels Bakery, coffee shop. Forgive
You're
me,
reaching
folks.
deep.
I know, forgive me. But I love the vibe. of the place. It's very, very chill, close, lots of tables, free wireless. The staff are very friendly. Have you noticed a trend about places I enjoy? I like staff that
You
are
like
friendly.
loud places with annoying
yeah.
people. No.
So anyway, off of a Cordata Parkway roundabout, look for Gluten-Free Angels. It's right next to Goji Bistro, G-O-J-I. It's in that same little complex. And I've found that their drinks are great. I can actually order a limonada, a Pellegrino, and I don't have to order a coffee, which makes me happy.
I see.
And I'm able, and they don't have... Okay, so there are some coffee shops that I'm not going to name any names that they play non-coffee shop music. I don't want to hear dubstep when I'm trying to get into focus mode or reading or something that you're making me put in my earphones. I don't like that. They play nice music.
True.
They know how to create a soundtrack for a coffee shop experience. So anyway, my favorite place, Gluten-Free Angels Bakery Coffee Shop off of Cordata Parkway.
Yep, and I believe it's right next door to the big Best Buy monstrosity.
It is very close to it. That one, yeah.
Just as a relative location, on the Cordata Parkway, past Whatcom Community College, and as if you're heading towards Best Buy's.
Yes.
That area.
That store that I usually will not discuss. So, but yes, Mr. Barsay, what's your favorite place on Meridian Street, north or south?
So we must be neighbors. Oh wait, we are. Because the place I was going to talk about is right next door to that place. No, it is not Goji's Bistro.
No?
It is West Side Pizza.
West Side Pizza in the same complex.
Yes.
Okay, now I wasn't aware of this, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
And the fact that we're on this kind of mindset is rather frightening.
No,
Go ahead.
so I love West Side Pizza. They are a chain, but they're more of a smaller, localized chain, hence West Side Pizza. I think I've been to like two, one in Bainbridge Island, I believe, and the other, no, I've been to three, one in Bainbridge Island, and then also, or maybe it was Anacortes, I can't remember. Anyway, one of my travels, I was like, whoa, West Side Pizza. And the last one, obviously, right there in Cordata. And it's great because, one, you get really good tasting pizza, and two, it's not like slit your throat, expensive, really good pizza. No, here's what I mean. So, like, you go to, like, a gourmet pizza restaurant. That is where they charge you a lot for a little pizza. Yes. These guys, every location that you go to, these guys are really passionate about pizza. Their customer service is great. Little hacker tip for everybody is when you get a pizza, keep the pizza box. Because here's why. There's on the opening tab on the right hand side, there's a little chunk of the cardboard that says 1 point. If you collect those points, yes, it is just like collecting bottle tops as a kid. If you collect those points, you can get free food with them.
What a killer idea to get repeat business.
Yep, no, not an app, not anything. It literally, you go get the pizza, and it's only the pizza boxes. If you try to hack it even more, try to get breadsticks in a box, those boxes don't have them. It is only the pizza boxes.
You've already tried the game this system then, huh?
No,
not you. All right.
So anyway, we've gone in with like a fistful of points because, I mean, I think it's like an average pie is like $14. There's even carry out specials and stuff. But you can stack up points fast, and I think like 12 points gets you a large pizza for free.
All right,
something like that.
Maybe sometime we have to do a podcast from West Side Pizza.
It is a little bit loud, Chris. I'll warn you.
Really? All right. Well, I might be able to put on my extrovert hat and put in both earplugs.
Anyway, that's my shout out.
Right.
I really like the guys at West Side. I think they're great.
For those of you on Meridian Street, we love you. Don't get us wrong. We are family, but driving on Meridian, just not one of our fans. But here's a place. I think it's off of Westerly or Kellogg, one of the two stoplights. Yeah. But that's great. Coming up next, on the next one, we'll talk about Northwest. So I think that pretty much takes care of our business.
Yeah. Do you before we wrap up, is there any Subdued apps on tap on your phone this week?
Oh, snap. Did I talk about automatic?
No. You and I talked about automatic.
Yeah. Okay. So there is in the spirit of hacking or gaming your experience.
Gamification.
There is a little device out there called Automatic, automatic.com. It's a little white thing that you plug into your vehicle. And it goes into one of the things that kind of reads, for those of you that have modern vehicles, it'll tap into the little mini computer inside your car. It's about $100 with a code that you could find fairly easily. It gives you a 20% discount. So for going down that rabbit hole, I bought one. I wanted to see how's my driving. One of the selling points with this is it pairs with your device, whether it be Android or iPhone. I think it would pay for itself. When you have a check engine light, it will give you analysis on what that check engine light means.
That's cool.
That almost is worth the price for it in itself. However, what the automatic app does, it connects via Bluetooth, and there's a little bit of a pairing process that has to go through. Totally, take 5 minutes in your driveway, and you're good to go. It has a very nice wizard to walk through it. It gives you feedback on your driving. Are you a hard accelerator? Are you a hard braker? Do you go over 70 miles an hour?
Beep.
Yeah, exactly.
Beep, beep.
So
Beep, beep, beep.
I used to be because I had a manual transmission.
Beep.
But now I have a vehicle that's an automatic transmission. If you say beep one more time, I'm going to smack you. All right. Stop it, AJ. I'm on a roll here. Anyway.
Well, I'm just saying it beeps at you.
It does beep at you when you hard accelerate from a stoplight, or if you have to hit the brakes. It's good feedback, unlike what you were doing. But every week you start with 100, and for every beep that you get, you knock it down, and so it kind of shows you how good a driver you are. Also shows you how much gas it costs to get from one destination to another.
That's cool.
For you freelance workers out there that are going to businesses, this could be very helpful for you to say, oh, you cost me $2.42 in gas. I'm going to tack that on my bill or declare that for my tax refund. So automatic.com, nice little white device that plugs into your car. I've been messing with it, and as it turns out, I'm actually a fairly conscientious, safe driver. Unlike my angry 20s decade, which we won't talk about, maybe save that for a future episode.
That will be a BPM After Dark.
After Dark, Chris's Road Rage Odyssey. No, AJ, what app are you impressed with as of late?
Well, it's funny because as the temperature goes up, it's hard for me to go to sleep at night.
Okay.
Even with the fans going in the house and stuff.
Yep.
And so, much like yourself, I do like ambience, but I like more the natural, like as if I was camping up at about 5,000 feet and there's just wind going through the trees type of
Kind of like what you're hearing right now at home from our microphones.
Yeah, kind of like where we're at right now. So for me to kind of doze off, and there's a series of apps. There's Windy, there's Sunny, and then there's a new one that they came out with, and I think it's called Forest. I haven't gotten it.
Okay.
They are well, Windy is a paid app. I think it's like $2.99 or $1.99. Sunny is free, but there's a little bit of gamification. You have to now. You'll love this. For you to get more sounds and more scenes, because there's a story. It's actually like a interactive. They have a nice parallax scene, and it's a story about this guy on an island. That's all I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. But for you to get through the story, you have to chill out with this app on for at least 30 minutes a day.
Wow.
So you set the timer, and it's for you to relax. It's have it play in the background, and you get these little sunny points, and you add those points together, you get to the next scene. So that's what really got me hooked, because it's free. Short of the last scene, you have to either, get like 2 million sunny points. At that point, you're going to spend the $1.99 to get the last conclusion of the story. Really great hook, I have to say.
That's clever.
Very cool gamification and storyfication of an app that is just a whole bunch of really high-quality recorded nature sounds. Really cool. So out of that, they hooked me. I got Windy. Actually, I think I got Windy for free just by happenstance. I think it was like the app of the week for Starbucks or something. Okay. And of course, I snatched it as fast as I could because I liked the first one. And it unlocks, you pay for it. You don't have to get the sunny points and stuff. They have little Easter eggs so that there is a hidden scene in the app. You have to not to say how to get to it, but there is an Easter egg. Okay. But what's cool about it is each scene has a beautiful parallaxy, not animated scene, but it animates as you move your device because it reads the gyro. And you have this beautiful artistic scene with really nice nature sounds that you can adjust the volumes. One of the volumes is Rain on a Tent, which is something I have an affinity for. Oh, yeah. Not a lot of nature apps have that sound, so you can control that. It has like rain, it has a stream, it has wind, and those are the sounds that I have an ambience affinity for. And so I really like Windy, especially with the sun being out
yeah.
and stuff, and it gets hot in the house. It's nice to have that playing with my Bluetooth speaker at night, and you can set it on a timer so that at 30 minutes it turns itself off and the house is quiet for you for the rest of the night.
Is this Apple only, or is this for Android?
I believe it is Apple only.
All right. For those of you with Android, you may want to check out an app called Noisely, which may give other nature sounds, Noisli. I always want to give props to those with Android phones, but Sunny sounds like what a great... I mean, anyone can record 2 minutes of environment sound and then loop it.
Yeah.
But here's a story that gets you engaged. That's worth $3.
It was like I said, it's gorgeous art. The sounds are really high quality. I don't know what mechanism they did to go out and record it, but when you mix everything together, it sounds really good, especially through a Bluetooth speaker. So that's my app on tap. So Chris, let's wrap up the show, and if somebody wanted to Subdued Stalk you because they think you're awesome or they want to know why you don't talk about the Best Buy monstrosity, how might they find you?
Google Chris Powell Bellingham. I have a landing page, chrispowell.co. I'm Minimal Tech on Twitter. I'm all over the place because I like curating my place on the internet as opposed to others who may be doing keg stand photos on their Facebook timeline.
Is that the other Chris Powell?
Yeah, that's the other one.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the guy who took my .com. Yeah. Anyway, so Google Chris Powell Bellingham. I'm all over the place. AJ, how about you? How can someone get a hold of you?
Well, people can find me on the Instagram and the Twitter at AJ Barce, B-A-R-S-E, or you can go to my website, ajbarce.com, or if you like my photography, you can become a Patreon patron of my photography. This month, I'm actually talking about travel and photography because I just got back from the South. So Patreon patrons will be seeing some exclusive shots from that trip, as well as I'm kind of diving into what is the best bag for anybody from professional to an amateur traveler.
Oh, you're talking my game.
I
We're
am.
talking gear now.
We're talking gear this month.
If this isn't a reason for you to drop 5, 10, however much, but check out his website for levels of patronage. To learn about AJ's research and recommendations for gear, here's a guy who knows what he's talking about. All right? So for those of you listening at home, support him. Cool. Especially for stuff like this.
Thank you, Chris. So,
but for those of you out there in podcast land, hey, guess what? It's me, Chris, your friend. We love hearing from you. Give us a call. Area code 201-731-8324. That's 201-731-TECH. Catch it? That was clever.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's very...
and leave us a voicemail because we would love to be able to talk about questions you got, feedback you got. Give us ideas for things to talk about on our show. We'd love to hear from you. But make sure you're nice about it because we like hearing from nice people. All right, so let's wrap things up.
That was good. That wraps up this edition of BPM Tech. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever the heck else you like to listen to Mr. Powell and myself. Or you can also visit us on the web at bellinghampodcast.com. I'm AJ Barce.
And I'm Chris Powell. Thanks so much for listening in. We do appreciate your time being part of BPM Tech. We'll see you next time.